Yo, what's up? This is Opus the Dopest from Dead by Wednesday, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Opus from Dead by Wednesday.
Yeah, promoting their upcoming European tour this April.
And Milwaukee Fest in May.
Yeah, and also don't forget they released Capital Conspiracy in, I believe it was May of 2022. Mm-hmm. So, hey, great interview, great guest. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Opus, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Hey, Opus, thanks for joining us tonight.
What's happening? I hope there's nothing shocking going on there.
Well, actually, there is something shocking going on. I guess we're anticipating, 5 to 7 inches of snow tonight. So, yeah, not great.
It was like 50s a couple days ago, and it's going to be 50s in another couple days.
Oh, I know. It's crazy, man. It goes from right here where we are in Connecticut, it was like below zero, and now it's like 60.
Yeah, you're getting our weather that we had a couple days ago.
Bipolar.
Very much so. Well, enough of the weather. Let's talk about the music here. So, currently, Dead by Wednesday is preparing for a new European tour in April. Can you give our listeners? Yeah. Can you give our listeners an insight on the schematics of this European tour?
Well, it's been going back. We've been going back and forth for a while now with the same promoter who also books my my Black Sabbath tribute band Earth over there a lot. Mm-hmm. And we've done now that other project's done like 3 tours now, and we went from playing smaller venues and opening up for other tribute bands now to headlining and having bands that want to play with us. So I've been bugging this my buddy, this dude, Lord Bishop, about getting Dead by Wednesday over to Europe because we haven't yet, and we're like, we need to get DBW over there. That style of music it would do well. I've been trying to do it for a long time. Finally, he put his money where his mouth is, and he decided to take a chance. And after the new album dropped, our new album Capital Conspiracy is doing really well. And he sees what's going on here, and all the hype and everything. So he said, "Listen, I'm going to do it. we're going to take a year off of Earth. We're going to do Earth in 2024, and we'll do that later on for like a Volume 4 tour. And instead of doing Earth, we're going to do Dead by Wednesday in Europe and do a debut tour for you guys and develop you guys in Europe instead." And as soon as I heard that information, we jumped on it right away. And everyone in the band said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And It's actually done. We're waiting on the dates. They should be. He actually just wrote me today and said that he should be able to announce all the actual clubs and venues and the areas by Friday. So we should have everything out and done by Friday. But the tour is already being booked. It's already in the process of happening. And the Dead by Wednesday tour in Europe will be announced probably this Friday. Well, it's already announced, but the dates and the places, the venues will be announced this Friday.
As far as size of venue, what is Dead by Wednesday looking at? Are you looking at a larger capacity? Are you looking to go smaller, medium size?
Well,
where are you guys at?
Yeah, probably for the first time in, we'll do what we did with the other project and slowly develop it. We'll probably play some clubs, rock clubs, smaller clubs at first. And then, unless we're opening up for a bigger band or like a bigger local show, and then it'll be bigger size venues. But we're not doing the theaters or any of that stuff yet. That'll come later on. With the Sabbath tribute that I do now, after 3 tours, we're actually headlining theaters, and it's really amazing. So it was a slow progress, and I think it's the same type of thing with this band. That it's going to take a little time, probably 2 or 3 times of going over there to develop, just like we do here. And here it's been a little easier because we're from here. But there, people, they respect and love music so much, and they're so into metal that I think that it's gonna do well for us. And it's a whole new market, and so we're excited about it because it's like a fresh start almost.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the next one?
Well, for a drummer, when you go on tour, we talk to guitarists all the time, and they'll take 3 or 4 guitars or whatever that stuff works. But how does it work for the drummer? Like you're not going to take multiple sets, but do you have spare parts, or how does that work?
Well, generally when you tour overseas, they provide you with backline. So they ask me what I use, and they try to get close. It's never perfect, so you kind of make do. You have to improvise and overcome, and basically make do with what you get. And I just try to bring a little bit of stuff that I know I need. Like obviously I bring my own sticks. I'll bring a few cymbals. I'll bring if they don't have a cowbell, I'll bring my cowbell because I use that in a few songs. I know it's funny, and then things like that, anything that I bring a small tom with me. I have this little roto tom thing that I add to my drum set that I use in a lot of songs. Anything that I know they won't have that I need, that I use, not necessarily need, but that I use on the songs and in our set. I'll bring whatever I can, and that whatever fits in the luggage. So our backdrop, we have a cloth backdrop. We'll bring that. We'll fold it up and bring it and everything. So we try to bring as much as we can without having it be ridiculous. But honestly, for drummers, it's tough. I mean, there's only so much you could do. So you kind of have to rely on what they get for you.
Absolutely. With Capital Conspiracy being released in 2022. Will this European set list be very new album driven as far as new music goes, or are you guys going to have a really good mix of the old and new?
Well, we're doing the set that we've been doing now, which is a mix of both. It's about half of Capital Conspiracy, and then we have one from one song from earlier days, one song from the guest vocalist album, and then we'll do usually throw in a cover that we recorded and released ourselves. We have a Van Halen cover that we do. We have a Megadeth cover that we do, but we do it our own way. Drop C, and we have breakdowns in it, and we do different vocal stuff. We try to make it our own. But we'll do Live Again from the guest vocalist album, the song that we did with Brian Fair from Shadows Fall. We do that song because everyone likes that song. We do You and Die. It's a melodic song that we do off the last album, the self-titled album from before Capital Conspiracy. We'll do that. We'll do Pawns, which is on the new album, re-released, but it was originally on Killing Project in I want to say, I don't even know what year, but it was like 2018 or something like that, 2019. So we'll do like we'll do like one song from some of the old albums, and then we'll throw in like a bunch of the new stuff, just because we're promoting the new album and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kind of get into the nuts and bolts of the Capital Conspiracy album. Yeah. Can you kind of give our listeners an insight to the writing and recording process of that album? I'm sure part of it took place during the pandemic, correct?
Yeah, actually, a lot of it did, and that was that's the beauty of that album is that a lot of it we didn't have to rush. We were everyone was in lockdown, and we just got Esteban, and he was ready to go on tour with us for his first tour with Dead by Wednesday, and then we were actually supposed to go out with Twisted for like a month, and then COVID hit, and so that completely just screwed him out of going on the road. And so we're like, well, what are we gonna do? We got this kick-ass singer, and we have all this material, and we're just like kind of sitting around. So we kind of just started doing like the remote thing where we would trade riffs and song ideas online, and we would send files back and forth, and we would just kind of like do it that way. So we took our time, and we wrote a lot of it remotely and online through the new way, which is file sharing and all that stuff, and we released a couple songs at that time, just kind of showing people that we're working, and we still had band practice every week, even it was on Zoom, and it was pretty funny, and we would do it every week religiously until we can get together. And then once we got together, we had all these ideas, and then we started sharpening them up and getting them honing the skills and getting the songs tighter. And that's when we started recording on our own. We did a lot of it, the drums I did with our producer Nikki Belmore. And then all those guys were able to record at their home studios and basically save on money and send the tracks in. And then Nikki mixed everything once it was done. So we really did a lot of it throughout the pandemic for sure. And that's why, the album is pretty special. I mean, a couple songs we actually wrote in the room together. So towards the end when we were able to get together. So that was cool. Like Here Comes the Dead was written together.
Nice. That
was cool. But Mars in Exile, the Lego song, that was written, remotely. And that was actually released that way. And so was a couple other songs. The Wake, we did that, remotely. So a lot of these songs were done like that. And then a couple of them were done towards the end when we were able to get together and as a band and everything. So it was done both ways, but mostly remotely. And then, a lot of the subject matter deals with a lot of the, our singer's a combat veteran. And, even though he was a soldier, he has a lot of questions regarding, governmental decisions and topics and things. And so he put a lot of that. We don't go around preaching politics or any of that crap. We kind of just put it into our music, and he talks about concerning things, humanitarian ideas and things that are concerning to him in the lyrics, in the music. And we kind of just let people, sort of digest it and let them decide what it means to them, and not so much force feed people's ideas like people used to do back in the day.
Sure.
Like Metallica, Megadeth. There's a lot of bands that did that, and they would allow people to come to their own decisions for what we're saying. And that's kind of what we did, and that's where the Capital Conspiracy title came from. And as you can tell from the album cover, you see the Money Man, with big bank. Money man guy. You see big pharma with the drug person, but drug pusher. You see the Pope with a big pile of money. You see there's so many different things that you could pick out on the front cover. That's all sort of combined on one table, one round table.
Oh, very good. Darkened Times is my favorite track. Can you talk a little bit more about the story behind that track? Is there anything that you can kind of give us an insight or give our listeners an insight?
Actually, it's funny. It's funny that you that track because we're in the middle right now of shooting a video for that song, and it's going to be part of a. It's very interesting. So the buddy of ours, Sal, who helped direct the Lego video that we did. He is in the middle of shooting a movie about veterans and about the struggles that they deal with when they come home, and about suicide, and about a lot of things that they have to deal with once they're home from whatever duties that they're doing, and so it's going to be sort of a combination. So our singer is going to be in the movie, and he's going to be doing an interview for him for the movie. And then what we're going to do is, because the song sort of has a double meaning. It's about it's sort of about that, but also personally too, like how it affects relationships at home and things like that. And he would be able to talk more about the lyrics and what it means more so than me, because he wrote the lyrics and the melodies. I'm just the drummer. Even though I do write some stuff here and there, he'd be able to. But from what I'm gathering, from what I'm hearing, and how it's developing with the director for the video, is that it's basically going to be a video regarding veterans, combat veterans, and the struggles they deal with when they get back home from their tours, and how it affects their lives at home and relationships and so on and so forth. And that's kind of what I'm gathering is what it's about as well, because that's why that's one of the reasons why I'm sure he would shoot a video with all those details in it. So
very good. Yeah.
Well, we keep alluding to the Lego video, which is awesome, by the way. Can you talk a little bit about what went into the decision to do that? And is there any special permission you got to get from the Lego company to do that, or how's it work?
Well, I sure hope not, because yeah, then we're gonna get sued, I'm sure. I mean, there's also Kisses in there too, so I'm sure I'm gonna get Gene Simmons knocking on my door at some point.
I'm old school, loving videos, and I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? At this point, who cares? Like if I get sued by Lego or Gene Simmons, that'd be the best thing that ever happened to this band.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So I'm not worried about it. But no, we didn't get any special permission. We did actually send it to Lego, and they responded, which is pretty cool. And they thought it was really, really awesome. They didn't say anything negative. They didn't shut it down. So I'm assuming it's fine. I mean, there's so many people out there that do Lego like videos and stop motion videos and stuff like that, like kids doing stuff online and stuff. So I don't see an issue with it. We didn't like mark it as like an official Lego thing, but the idea actually stemmed from my son. My son Orion, he's like a super Lego freak, and he builds things that I first of all, I wouldn't even be able to do at all. Like, I can't do what he does. He just turned 9, and he builds Legos that I don't understand how he's doing it. Like, he reads like these novels. They're like these giant novels of what to put together and how to do it. And he does it in like things that usually take like adults like a week or two. He'll do it literally in like 24 to 48 hours, like a machine. And so when the album came out, he's like, he's like, hey, it'd be really cool to do like a video of you guys doing Legos. And I'm like, you know what, Orion, that's a great idea. Like, he had the idea for Here Comes the Dead as far as like the title, and we built around that. So like my son's been like pretty like influential with some of these things that we've done. And like, so he'll like come up with like a kid's mind is fresh, and it's like it's just so like so much imagination around things. And when he said to me, you should do a Lego video, I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. I've never really seen that before. And so we started, what we did was he started developing the idea, and he went out and he bought like a bunch of different Legos that matched our look, like, and he would make them homemade. So he would like, get like the right skin color for each person, the right hair, the beards, the guitars, all this stuff. And he went out and he actually built like a set, like a homemade set. And then he started doing it, and he realized how difficult it really, really, really is, as to do like stop motion. Yeah. So at that point, we're like, well, we don't want to give up on the idea. We have a bunch of footage shot. We have all these pieces. It's a great idea. And when I posted the picture of just the band as Legos, my buddy Sal wrote me. He's like, dude, that's a great idea. We should do this. I know someone that can animate, and let's give it a shot. So basically, we took Orion's idea and some of his footage and all the stage stuff, gave it to Sal, and Sal, took it and made it, happen. And so it's like a combination of all, my son and Sal and the animator Paul Stamper, who's amazing. And he works for like big movie sets. Like something like that normally would have cost ridiculous amount of money, but because they wanted to kind of hone their skills and just see what they could do, and just kind of help and be creative. It was like a fraction of what it would normally cost, and basically like we got hooked up, and it was amazing. Like I couldn't be happier with what happened. I mean, it's like a little movie. It's like a little Lego movie. It's pretty dope.
It is. Some of our listeners might not realize that you own Mindsnap Music, record label. Can you talk a little bit more about the origins of Mindsnap and how did it all work out and how did it come to fruition for you?
Okay, well, so it didn't. It sort of happened naturally on its own. So when I was a kid, my buddy of mine who I was playing in a band with at the time, him and I kind of sort of were like, well, we need like a promotional company name to like, book shows and like put on events and like promote things through. And so, he came up with the name Mindsnap. And I loved it. And I was like, oh, this is great. So let's use it. And then we used it for years promoting shows and just being like a promotional company. Mm-hmm. And then we put out our first CD. And at that point, we're like, well, what are we going to do? We don't have a label. Should we just throw a logo on the back and just make it look official? And so we're like, okay, yeah, we'll do Mindsnap Records at the time. And we threw it on there. We got a DBA account. We got an LLC. We did all that stuff just to make it official. And we put the album out. Obviously, it didn't do shit. It was like, we were like kids, but whatever. It was still there. It was still there, and it was just kind of hanging around. And I just never got rid of the DBA. I'm like, that way I can get, if people want to pay in checks or whatever, or do whatever it shows, I could cash stuff under Mindsnap Records or Music at the time. And so it just sat there. And then I met, I was always friends with, but Jamie Josta from Hatebreed. Mm-hmm. And he put out the first Dead by Wednesday album on his label, Stillborn Records, but he didn't want to. He wanted it to be a combination of both of our efforts. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, what if we changed it from Mindsnap Records to Mindsnap Music, and make Mindsnap a subsidiary of Stillborn, and we'll put out your album and have both logos on there, and it'll be a joint effort. And I was like, well, hell yeah. So we did that. The album did really well. It sold like 3,000 copies out the box for our debut album, Democracy is Dead. And he helped me with that. And so since then, we've been on, a plethora of different indie labels that really never really amounted to much. And except for when I met David Ellefson, the bass player of Megadeth. And when that happened, through like a long story with his former A&R guy, Tom, and just having like an on and off history with David. He almost managed my old band Gargantua Soul in the 90s, and just knowing him, and then booking some of his solo poetry tours that he did, like spoken word tours that he did back in the day here in Connecticut, we built a relationship, and then he started his label EMP Music Group, EMP Records, whatever, Ellison Music Production. And I was just like, okay, he put out a couple bands, and I saw it. And so I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to hound him about maybe putting out Dead by Wednesday, you know? So I would constantly break him and his A&R guys' balls, just constantly hitting them up, following them around at NAMM, you know, doing that naggy thing that people do to try to get someone's attention. And finally it worked. And I got them to listen to the album. They loved it. And it was a really special album, because at the time we were going through, I took a negative and made it a positive. We had an issue with our former singer who was basically like a drug addict. And so we had all this album, we had a record done. We had no singer. So what we did was we Dead by Wednesday, recorded and wrote all the music. And then we basically handpicked different rock stars that we knew that we played with or opened up for or knew that would be into it, and did a themed album about addiction called Darkest of Angels. And it was a unique album that was a guest vocalist album. So all the music was done by us. We recorded it all, but we had different singers from different established bands to like sort of co-write the song with us, and we recorded it. And so it was a win-win. So like, they're like, okay, well, we could put this album out on our label, and it has like Brian Fair from Shadows Fall, Rob Dukes, formerly from Exodus. It had like, you know, Waylon Revis from Mushroomhead, now AKC. It had like, you know, all these cats. I mean, John Arch from Fate's Warning. We had everybody that you could possibly think of that was tangible, that was friends with us, that from the area, or just that I knew throughout the years of touring, from the history of my career. And so it was a no-brainer. They understood the concept. They saw it. They listened to it. They loved it. I got a phone call right away. Yeah, we're going to put this out. We're going to make this a priority. It looks good for the label. And so we did that. Then we were with them for many, many years, and it got to the point where we became such good friends that when David wanted to do a solo band, he handpicked me on drums and my guitar player from Dead by Wednesday, Dave Sharp, to play guitar. So me and Dave played with David Ellison with his solo band for about 5 years.
Oh, so cool.
And,
so cool.
Yeah. And we played all the old Megadeth stuff, and it was amazing. You know, it was a really, really great time in my career, and I'll always remember that. And all that stuff's in my book and everything. But we can talk about that after. But so once that happened, we developed all this stuff, and then they had, you know, their issues and the falling out, and the label crumbled. Well, at that point, I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And so a buddy of mine was like, hey, why don't you attempt to take all the rights back from all these different labels, and just, it's a new era. Everyone is putting out their own stuff. Everyone is able to do this on their own. Why don't you just get the rights back for all these albums that you put out through all these indie labels? You haven't made a dime on any of this stuff, because they own all this crap. Get the rights back and utilize, you know, your label, and actually get distro and do it right, and re-release all these past catalog that you have under your own label, so that way at least you see some of the fruit of your own labor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yourself. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. So because a lot of these albums were, you know, non-existent. They couldn't find them anywhere because they were so, you know, old. So basically, I started doing the legwork and hitting up all the old labels, and most of the deals have run out by now. So I was able to get the rights back for all my past albums. And a buddy of mine, by the time, he was a super fan of my old band Gargantua Soul. He got into an amazing position at a distribution company called Von Artist, which deals with the Orchard, which is a part of Sony. And he's like, listen, I love your music and I know who you are. I'm willing to distribute all your past stuff through your label if you want to do it. And then from there, we're like, well, now I've re-released all my stuff. And I'm seeing, like that, honestly, between you and I, you guys and me, I'm like, why? Like, I'm seeing these like small little checks dribble in, and I'm going, this is years later. Imagine what these guys made off of me when it was hot.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like, wow, this is really crazy. Like that people do that. They give up their rights and they just kind of let people take their money. And now I'm like realizing, wow, this is crazy. So what I started doing was I started helping out my friends. Like, so like, if someone needed an outlet and they couldn't put out their album, like Stet, the drummer from Metal Church and formerly from Wasp, he had a side project and he's like, hey man, I want to put this out and I don't really, no one big is going to bite like Rat Pack or any of that stuff. We want to put it out kind of ourselves. Can you help? And I was like, hell yeah. So I started putting out my friends' albums and being, doing basically what other people were doing for me, I'm doing for them now. And I'm kind of like, I got a bunch of bands with guys from other band kind of things. So like I have Stet from Metal Church's side project, Howlin' Hyatt. Mm-hmm. I got 2 guys from D. Snyder's side project, Bomber Alley. Then I got Joey Conception, this amazing guitar shredder who played with, everyone under the sun from Sanctuary to Dark Tranquility. He even filled in for Arch Enemy. He played with Dead by Wednesday for a while. His solo shred album, he's like a guitar virtuoso guy, really well known. He played with Chris Amont for a while in Armageddon. And his album's coming out. I got my old singer Chris Keys' new album coming out with his new band that Tim Ripper Owens sang for a while that he took over. So I got a bunch of cool projects. Then then we did Dead by Wednesday's new album, and it really, 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 did really well, and it sort of was like the platform for all these other artists to sort of piggyback off of, and now it's a thriving underground independent little label, and I have some help from my buddy Scott Harrington from Salt of the Earth Records, where like I'll do all the digital and all the promo, and he'll do like the physical copies, the hard copies for me, and print and do all like the actual, if they want, like, then we don't go crazy because it's a new time, so we don't want a warehouse full of albums sitting there. Yeah. But at the same time, if we want like a couple hundred for like a tour, he'll print a couple hundred for me, and his logo's on there. And now recently, I just acquired the rights to use the Combat Records logo from David on a couple of the albums that he feels that are representative of what we were doing. Now it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not a Combat release. It's just basically just using the logo for like vanity purposes, like almost like for like street cred, like underground metal street cred. So it's like it's a Mindsnap music release, and where he's just allowing me to, like, not for all the releases, but just for certain ones that he feels he has to give the green light on, and nice. Listen to him. But so it's going to be a great year where I could like have like put out these bands and have like all these people involved and logos and everything, and it's just the whole thing's really cool.
You can't beat being able to put Combat Records on the back of your album. Yeah, that's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I said, it's to be very clear, he's not involved in any of the record. He's done with that, so he's not involved in the actual decisions or the making or the financial, any of that stuff. And again, it's not a Combat Records. When it goes in the catalog, it's going to come up as Mindsnap Music.
Sure, right.
It's just we're allowed to only on certain, very, very certain releases that, like Joey Conception's release, we're going to do it. We're probably going to do it for Chris Keys' release, and then maybe DBW, because Dead by Wednesday was already signed to the actual real Combat Records when David was active with it. Now it's sort of inactive, and again, I'm just using it for like more for like underground street cred,
Sure.
Just for select albums. But it's still a Mindsnap music release. So when it comes up in the system. It's going to be distributed through my people. I'm doing all the work. My logo is going to be first. It's Mindsnap Music / Combat Records. So it's not really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more for show in a sense.
It works, man.
Yeah, very cool.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your autobiography. Let's talk about that daunting task of having to, put yourself out there and kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, that's another whole nother story too. Like I always wanted to do something like this, but I never thought I could because I'm definitely not a writer. I give all the credit to the success of that book to my ghostwriter, Doug Esper. Okay. He really brought that book to life. Like, without him, there would be no autobiography. So I have the stories, I have the voice, and he did a great job making it sound like me when you read it. And the thing I like about it is that it's not so difficult to read that it's like you need a degree in literature to read it.
Right.
And at the same time, it's not like it doesn't sound like a bunch of dummies trying to write a book. It's actually like really well done. And I did not expect the success that it had. Like the first week it came out, it went from number 30 something on the top 100 music autobiographies on Amazon, like right next to like Bruce Dickinson and and then it went to 74 the following week, and then now it's off the charts. But for the first 2 weeks, it was on the top 100 Amazon bestsellers, which is pretty cool. And I did not expect that at all. And it's been a steady stream since then. And even my publisher, Scout Media, said that basically I sold what most authors would sell within like a year. Within like they usually sell in 3 years. Oh. So that's pretty cool. And I'm not really an author. It's because of the fan base. It's because of the music fan base. So I mean, and that was a whole other lucky story too, because Doug knew this guy who dealt with just music autobiographies, and he did one for Doug for the former singer of Faith No More, who's recently passed away, Chuck Mosley.
Yes.
And then also one of the guys from Dog Fashion Disco did a book, and he did that book for him. So, luckily he knew someone, because I had no idea where to turn or what to do with that. I've never released a book or any of that stuff. So, but I got the idea. I look at it as like another merch table item, and I got the idea from David, because David Ellison released 2 books, and he would always have them with him, and he had them on the table along with music, and people would buy them randomly. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. Everyone thinks they have an interesting life and that they're so so amazing and all that stuff, and that they should write a book. And a lot of those books are very ego based, written very like, look at me, I did this, I done that. And that's not what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted it to be like almost like the trials and tribulations of like a blue collar, pro touring working musician, and like the do's and don'ts, like letting like younger people and other people that want to do it know the reality of what it takes and what you should and shouldn't do. On top of, I do have a pretty wild family life, a really some crazy things that you would never expect. And that's why I did it. I was like, okay, well, besides the fact that I could talk about the industry in depth, and because I've been through the trenches, and I've learned through my mistakes, and no one ever handed me anything. I've always done everything myself since I was really young. I booked my first show at age 13 myself, and I just never looked back. And so I'm like, well, I have a lot I could share for people, and kind of give some idea of what it really takes, the good, the bad, the ugly kind of thing. So that's why I did it. And then on top of it, I'm like, well, I might as well include some crazy road stories, and talk about some people here and there that might not like it, but it's a good funny stories, and whether they do or not, it's whatever, it's relevant. And then I have some really interesting family history and stuff like that. So I figure, why not just throw it all in there, and do it. And I don't know if I'll do it again. Everyone's like, oh, you should do a second one. You should do a second one. I'm like, I really don't have a desire to. I just wanted to. I set my mind on something and I wanted to accomplish it, and that's what I do. And now, if there's ever a reason to do a second one, I might do a second one. But right now, I got so many other projects and things going on in my hands, and so many things that that's the last thing I'm thinking about right now.
Oh, very good.
I think the book's called "Break When I'm Dead." I don't know if I said that earlier, so I just wanted to get.
Yeah, "Break When I'm Dead," and that's actually a song title from the guest vocalist album.
Okay.
And I thought it was really, really cool because it's about not stopping and always trudging forward in the music business, and that basically you're not going to stop until you're dead. And that actually came from Eric A.K., the singer of Flotsam and Jetsam, who I met, who's also, I talk about in the book, who I teched for them in Europe for a month. I toured with them, opening with Dead by Wednesday, and I opened up for them when I was 15 in a snowstorm here in Connecticut. And Eric's always been super cool. And when we did this album, I hit Eric up, and he said yes right away to doing the song. And he came up with the title "Break When I'm Dead." And it was so relevant when I wanted to do this book. I'm like, I got to use a song title from Dead by Wednesday from the guest vocalist album, and it's going to be "Break When I'm Dead." And it just all fell into place.
Nice.
Very nice. Our listeners relate to you as being the drummer for Dead by Wednesday, also the tribute Sabbath band, Earth. But a lot of our listeners don't realize that you're also in Hail the Horns with Tony Campos and Mark Rizzo. And we've had both of those guys on the podcast in the past. Jeff and I absolutely love this project.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. We're hoping that we're going to get some more music out of you guys. So what's the story behind Hail the Horns? Anything cooking?
Unfortunately, not really. Well, it was more of like a project to keep us busy on the side, and just kind of like it's a cool concept. It was like more of like a glorified cover band. We would go out and do like Metallica and Slayer and some Soulfly and some of the bands that like Prong. Some of the bands that those guys played in, even Megadeth. Because I played with David for a while. But since then, I've gotten so busy with my own project, and Tony is finally, he was just, Tony did it because he was nipping at the bit to go out and tour because, of COVID, and he was sitting home not doing anything, and everyone, was afraid to go out, and Static X wasn't touring or any of that stuff, and none of his other bands were touring. Now, all his projects are back up and running, so he's like super booked and super busy, and now Mark is not only doing El Nino, which is full time, but he's got this other new band with the singer from Bad Wolves. What's his name there? The big guy there. What the hell's his name? I forgot his name.
I'm drawing a blank.
But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the big guy from Bad Wolves. So and that's taking up a lot of his time. So I mean, it was more of a project. It wasn't really meant to be like a band per se, like where I was going to put out original music. We did write a couple songs just for shits and giggles. But we figured it would be a lot more of a response than it was. And so we kind of like nowadays you kind of throw crap against the wall, and if it sticks, you roll with it. And if it doesn't, you leave it there and hope for the best. And you might want to revisit it one day. So like, maybe one day we'll revisit it or if we have some time off in between our own stuff, we'll do like a run and make, just do a little like 2-week little thing where we play some covers and make a little dough and have some fun and throw in a couple originals in there. But it's like, it's more of just like, it was more of just a fun thing to keep us all busy and occupied, because I didn't really know Tony that well, but I was always friends with Mark and always working with Mark and helping him with his solo career. I booked a lot of his stuff. And, I've known him forever. So like on and off a lot, actually. He actually co-wrote a couple songs with DVW. We just figured why not stay busy and go out and do something. And a 3-piece is super easy. And, but again, with everything going on, everyone has their own stuff happening. It's really difficult to, basically we all have enough bands. We don't need to do more stuff. It's not that it's over. It's still there and it's not going anywhere, but it's not like an active band that's actually writing or doing anything. It's more of like I said, like a something to keep us occupied in between our projects and our bands. And it's more of like a side project that we do for fun and more of a glorified cover band type of thing,
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I saw on Facebook, I think I saw February 17th, the Syndicate on Focus TV Music Television, featuring you guys, the Dead by Wednesday. Can you talk a little bit about that upcoming performance?
Oh, it's actually, I don't know if it's a performance. Maybe I think they're just playing the videos, a couple of videos. We did an interview. It was more of like just a band interview for those guys. So it wasn't like a show or anything, but those guys, they hit us up and they were like, hey, we want to do something, and we did it. Just like I'm doing with you right now. I do a ton of these. I do a lot of interviews and podcasts. I got one Friday booked. I mean, a lot of things are starting to open up, and people are starting to really. That Lego video really, did a lot of stuff for us as far as like opening new doors.
Absolutely,
okay, cool,
very cool. Milwaukee Metal Fest, Dead by Wednesday will be performing there. What else capacity are you involved with the Milwaukee Metal Fest? Do you have any type of business venture into this besides performing?
Absolutely. If you look at the flyer, Mindsnap Music is right next to Metal Blade Records.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad. So I'm a sponsor with the for the festival as well as performing. But I was a sponsor first, and then Jamie Josta is the guy who is basically reestablishing the Milwaukee Metal Fest along with some of his partners and some people that he works with, investors and stuff like that. Sure. And it was a very established festival for many years until it went away. And actually, full circle, was pretty ironic. That was one of the first festivals that Dead by Wednesday ever played back in the day with I think it was with Manowar and Mushroomhead and a bunch of other bands. And Jamie was the one who helped me get, when I was signed to his label, he helped me get onto that originally. So come full circle, now he hit me up and he's like, hey man, do you want to get involved with your label? I would just need you to do some work and just, help me out with a few things and some marketing and yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, hell yeah, dude, I'll do it. And so I started doing it. And then I'm like, well, what is it going to take to get, some of my bands on the bill? And he's like, well, let's talk about it. And we talked about it and we came to an agreement and everything's working out. So I got Dead by Wednesday on there and, Engineered Society project that's coming out on Mindsnap Music. They're playing as well, and that's Tim Ripper's old project that my former singer from Gargantua Soul, my buddy Chris Keys, is singing for now, and I'm putting that album out. So they're playing, and then I got a bunch of other cool bands that I'm working with and friends with that also signed up to play, and there's going to be 3 stages. So one of the stages is going to be, with Mindsnap and a bunch of other cool sponsors. So it's really, really awesome. And I'm really happy that he gave me the opportunity to do that. And we're psyched to be playing the event,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the mystery of rock and roll, with the dawning of the internet, social medias, has taken the mystery away from rock and roll. There's no longer a Kiss. There's no longer a Led Zeppelin. There's no longer any mystery at all within the realm of rock and roll. Maybe Ghost. Other than that, go ahead.
Not even them, really.
Yeah. Well, as you, the artist, the businessman, and the fan, what do you like more? Do you miss the mystery and mystique of rock and roll, or do you like this new age of accessibility? If we didn't have the internet, we wouldn't be doing this with you right now. So, where's your head at?
I like both, but I do really miss the old school mystique because, I remember picking up my first album and looking at the artwork and reading the lyrics while I was listening to it and, forming my own thoughts of what I thought it meant and why, and not seeing Ozzy dribbling over his bowl of cereal on TV, you know, and spouting to his wife that he has to take a dump or something, you know, like I like to know that I wanted to remember these guys as like, you know, the Prince of Darkness, and I want to remember Kiss as, you know, the Demon and the Spaceman, and you know, I love that stuff, and that's what inspired me. Now everyone's too accessible, and although it's good for certain things, it does take a lot of that away, and it's a whole new world now, and you have to either get with it or not. You know, TikTok and ADD world, you know.
Very good. We are out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off that you would like to plug or promote?
No, I think you guys covered pretty much all of it. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked with everything that you guys talked about, and I appreciate your time. If you want to visit any of my social media on both the band or myself, I'm pretty much with Dead by Wednesday, Twitter, Facebook, you know, Instagram, all that happy horse shit. You can just literally under Dead by Wednesday, you just got to spell Wednesday right. It's WEDNESDAY, so it's Dead by Wednesday, all one word for all that stuff, except for our YouTube page. Our YouTube page is the abbreviations with TV, so it's youtube.com/DBWTV for YouTube. That's the only one that's different. All the rest are under our actual name, Dead by Wednesday. And for me personally, all the social media is under Opus the Dopest, DOPEST.
Very
all one
good.
word.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, so this is how things are going to work out. Jeff, the editing wizard over here, will get it all cleaned up and sounding pretty, and we'll send the link to you as soon as it's available. Like I said, about 3 weeks. Sound good?
Sounds good, man.
Hey, Opus, thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for the correspondence. Thank you for your willingness to participate.
Of course.
All right, man. Take her easy. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy. Thank you, bud.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug out both their